Welcome to Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast. We're here to explore the joy and the responsibility of grandparenting in today's ever-changing world. I'm your host, Sharon Hassan, and you are here because you want to create lasting joyful connections between grandparents and grandchildren. Now, I'm not sure who you are who are listening right now. You may very well be the grandparent, and you may very well be the parent wanting to solidify the relationship between your parents and your children. And depending on which one you are, the grandparent, the middler, or the grandchild, today's topic is for you. Because today we are talking about one of the trickier, maybe trickiest aspects of modern grandparenting. We're here to talk about boundaries. Let me share with you a conversation I had recently with a grandmother. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was heartbroken because her daughter had asked her to stop giving her grandson cookies when he came over. And these weren't just a package of cookies, they were cookies that she baked, that she loved, that she put effort into. I raised you just fine, Sarah told her daughter. But her daughter has different parenting priorities. Now it's obvious here, right? You see the conflict. Sarah loves baking and she loves her grandson and bringing them together to give something to him. You just see the joy in that. But from Sarah's daughter's perspective, well, she has different priorities. The sugar in the afternoon, it's not good for him. There's so many things in the expectations of parents. So this tension left Sarah wondering, am I doing something wrong by wanting to spoil my grandson a little? Does this sound familiar to you? Today, we will talk about how to lovingly honor boundaries while still being the grandparent that your grandchildren treasure, and while successfully being the parent who can balance all of the demands. So here we are with the grandparent balancing act. All right, step one, understand that parenting has evolved or changed or shifted, because really every generation parents differently. I like to reflect on my own childhood and know that we could do like so much and nobody really checked up or cared, and that was normal. I could ride my bike off and come back 4 hours later and nobody was worried really, because it was just expected. What felt normal 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and more, it doesn't match today's norms. Young adult children, and even the not so young, really all adult children, they're not rejecting your values. They're parenting in the world that they're raising their children in. The expectation, so now if you're a middle like me, you know the tension that's on us, the effect of social media and all the research and all of this, and there's so much that you can give your child and can't give your child, and you're the demands and it's never ending. And you're trying to meet all of those expectations at the same time. and support the needs of your parents and your children. So that's the middle perspective. From the grandparent perspective, they were such good parents to you. They did such a good job. Look how you turned out. Of course, they're going to do well with your grandchild too. And those are both two truths. And yet, the boundaries stand in the way. So that was step one, understanding that parenting has evolved a lot. Number two is communicating. Communication's the key to so much, and you really have to be communicating early and often and regularly. You have to have open conversations about expectations, and the list is kind of limitless. And it also depends on how much time the grandparents are actively spending with their grandchildren, if they're taking an active caretaker role, or if it's just remote, or even just, the weekend that they're together or the vacation time together. Plan ahead, be able to talk it out. Some topics that come up for points of tension include food choices, screen time, discipline, language, sleep routines, information being shared. The list really is infinite, but approach these conversations with humility and curiosity. And really, well, for example, how would you like me to handle snacks when the kids are visiting? Is there anything you want me to keep in mind in the conversation I'm going to be having with your child? And if you do the grand plan thing and embark on the curriculum, there's balancing in that too of, okay, I'm going to bake remotely with your child, and these are the ingredients we're going to. Conversations early and often. And really, through all of these conversations, remember the bottom line for everybody is the grandchild, your child, your grandchild. That's what it's all hinged upon. And when you put that back into perspective, it's not the conflict of your values versus their values. It's everyone wanting the best for the next generation. Okay, so that's an important perspective to keep. But I want to come back with the third one, which is remembering that the grandparent is not the parent. Avoid competing with the parents. A grandparent's role is to support and to love, but not to override the decisions of the parent. You can talk about it, but it doesn't mean that you get to decide, because a parent is a parent first and foremost. And when grandparents respect parental boundaries, all of the trust grows. So you'll get to be a more successful grandparent when you are respectful to your offspring. Now I keep saying it's your offspring. There's definitely going to be another episode, and maybe many, many episodes, podcasts about the spouse of your offspring and the relationship between your son and or daughter-in-law. That's a whole different and equally complicated, if not more complicated, conversation about boundaries, because they're coming from a whole nother realm. They are not your child. They do not come with that same origin. So we'll pause on that for right now. But I want you to know that I know it's a whole different ball of wax, kettle of fish, whatever idiom you want to use. All right. So now we're going to look at number 4. Creating your own special space. This is for the grandparents, okay? So you need to, once you're able to have a conversation about the boundaries and respect the boundaries, find a way to build relationships within the agreed upon boundaries. Okay, so this again, it comes to my last episode about setting up the routine with your grandchildren and knowing we're going to meet at this time and maybe talk about this and maybe talk about that. Okay, once you're the middle generation is on board with it, then you're going to set up the routine. Okay, we're going to talk for 15 minutes on this screen item or this or that. It's set up, and then there's no demands. There's no there's no reason for conflict because everybody is in the shared space. And once that's set up, then you're able to talk about the things that you have already planned, that routine that you've set up with the grands, where you're talking about the grand plan curriculum or your shared values or the storytelling plan that you are creating with your little humans, right? Then we come to really, I guess, the big role of the grandparent, which is being the role model that you need to be. Okay. You're not the one in control, you're the one in the role model. And by respecting the adult children's wishes, you're modeling respectful relationships for your grandchildren. You are in control, but you don't get to reset those boundaries. This strengthens your long term relationship with both generations, with all the generations, when it's able to be smooth and respectful with your children, then how much more so it is with your grandchildren. I know that nothing that I'm saying here is as simple or as straightforward as the words that are coming out of my mouth. But I hope when you finish listening to this episode and you have your next interaction with the generation up or the generation down or two generations down, you're really able to stop and reflect on those boundaries just to take an extra pause. And remember that boundaries aren't walls. They're more like fences. They mark the space where love can grow safely. It's not stopping something. It's helping things foster and develop. When we honor the choices of our children, we create an environment where our grandchildren feel secure and where grandparents are seen as loving, reliable partners in the family's life. And the middle generation, you've got to be holding that space of respect for your parents, reflecting all the positivity that has come from them, just with gentle reminders that they're not the parent anymore. But it's got to come from a place of respect, boundaries, respect, love. You can do this. It just takes a lot of work. Nothing happens overnight. Thank you for joining me today on Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe and leave a review. If you know somebody else who would equally or even more resonate with this message, please share it with friends, loved ones who can work on balance, love, respect in their own families.